In an ideal situation, you will have several days, maybe even a week, to prepare for an interview. Though sometimes you may have to panic prepare for an interview that either occurs the same day or early the next day. If you happen to be in the process of panic preparing for an interview, this video is for you. Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today I've got a few tips for you on how you can quickly prepare for an interview that may be happening in an hour or less than 24 hours. If you've got a little bit more time to prepare for interviews, save this video for future reference and make sure that you click the cards as well as the links in the description box below so that you can be most prepared for your interviews that are coming up soon. Before we jump into my tips for you, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're looking forward to learning how to panic prepare for an interview. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. All right, so we have no time to waste. You are panic preparing for an interview and you need to know what you need to prepare for right now. So first and foremost, pull up the job description that you applied to. You'll pull up the posting and look at those keywords, those roles and responsibilities, and quickly review the information on the posting to not only refresh your memory on what this job is about, but to also give you some ideas on your answers for potential interview questions. That'll be coming up soon, so stick around. In addition to reviewing the job posting or the job description that you've applied to, make sure you review your resume quickly so that you remember what specific information you have included in your job application. If you have any other supplemental materials like a cover letter or answers to supplemental questions, quickly review them before you continue to the next step. This review process will give you a good foundation to remember A, why you've applied to this position, B, what you bring to the table for the position, and C, will give you the content that you'll need to be able to provide good examples in your interview answers during the actual interview process. So first and foremost, review the job posting or the job description and review your documents that you uploaded as a part of your application package. Now that you have reviewed the job posting as well as some of your application materials, it's time to come up with some scenarios that you will be able to use to answer any behavior-based interview questions. Now, if you have time, go ahead and watch my video with the formula to answer any behavior-based interview question. But here is a quick rundown on what those formulas are. You've got the formula CAR, C-A-R, or STAR, S-T-A-R. My preference is CAR just because it's shorter and a little bit easier to remember. So the C in CAR stands for context, the A stands for action, and the R stands for result. So anytime you answer an interview question that is behavior-based, and maybe even sometimes technically based, you'll want to use the formula CAR, context, action, and result, to answer this question. You will need to provide a little bit of context as to why you're sharing the information you are to answer this question. Then you need to share the action that you took in this situation, and then you're going to describe the result. The result is the most important part of this question. So in order to think of the different scenarios that you might be able to use for your CAR responses, think of times where you had to handle conflict, where you communicated really well, where you worked well in a team or collaborated. Maybe you had to overcome an obstacle or a challenge. Those are very common types of questions that will come up. And while I didn't give you a very specific question that you could answer with CAR or STAR, having those types of situations fresh in your mind will help you be prepared to answer any variation of a question that touches on those different topics. Next, you need to come up with your answer to the question, "Tell me about yourself." It's highly likely that this question or a variation of this question will be used to begin the interview. You want to make sure that you've got your short elevator pitch prepared. This is going to be 30 to 90 seconds. You're not going to ramble, and you want to touch on what you're currently doing, what you've done in the past, and where you want to go. When you talk about the where you want to go, that's where you incorporate this organization and this position. What excites you about this position? What excites you about this organization? And why did you apply to this position? Now that brings me to my next tip, which is to think about why you do want this position. Now, they may not ask you straight up, why us or why this position. However, knowing why you want this position will give you a good foundation to answering many of the interview questions. So in addition to reviewing your job application materials, preparing your scenarios to answer behavior-based interview questions, and preparing your answer to the tell me about yourself question, you'll want to think deeply about why you applied to this position and why you want this job. They may just blatantly ask you, why us, or why this position. But if they don't, you'll want to make sure you weave in why you want this position or why you want this job into one of your answers. And it may even be incorporated in your answer to the question, tell us about yourself. The other major thing that you need to prepare for the actual interview are your questions for the end of the interview. If you do not have questions prepared for the end of the interview, and they ask you if you have any questions for them and you say, nope, I have no questions, that is a huge red flag and will be major marks against you. So no matter what, you will want to come up with at least one, preferably 3 questions to ask at the end of an interview. Now, if you haven't watched my video on the 3 different types of questions to ask in an interview, I highly recommend doing so. However, here is a brief rundown. I recommend 3 different types of questions to ask during an interview. The first is a culture-based question. This is a question directed to the interviewers about the organization, the culture, maybe what they like best about working for the organization. The second type of question could be a logistical question or something maybe a little bit more technical about the position. The third type of question is the hard question to ask. However, every client that I've worked with who has asked this hard question has received feedback from their interviewers that they were highly impressed that they had the courage to ask the question. And this question is, do you have any hesitations about what I bring to the table? Do you have any hesitations about my qualifications or my experience? Is there anything that I could clarify further for you about any of my answers during this interview? So you would want to ask one, but preferably one of each of those 3 different types of questions. So a culture question, a logistical question, or a technical question, and then the hard question. Do they have any hesitations about you? That gives you the opportunity to address those hesitations and really fight for yourself to get this position. And last but not least, you need to consider what you're going to wear for this interview. If this is an in-person interview, you will want to consider the type of position that you've applied to. If it is a professional, business casual environment, or you assume that's what it is, then you will want to dress one level above that. If this is going to be a video interview, you will want to make sure that you are ready and dressed to impress through that video camera. You'll want to make sure that your hair is done. You'll want to make sure that if you need makeup, that you have that ready to go. And you'll want to make sure that your clothing is sufficient. I highly recommend fully dressing for an interview, even if it is virtual, because if any technical difficulty happens and you stand up and they see your boxers or they see your pajama bottoms, that could be marks against you. So dress professionally and be fully prepared for this interview. So you're panic preparing for this interview. So I hope these tips will help you feel confident and comfortable and prepared for this interview that is quickly coming up. If you have future interviews that are coming up, please make sure to check out my interview playlist. It includes all of the videos that I have that are specifically about interviews. This will tell you how to answer specific questions, what you should wear, how to set up your technology if it's a video interview, etc. So I have a lot of resources available for you. So if you haven't already, please check that out if you have time. Best of luck on your interview. I hope you rock it. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you think that I missed anything or there's anything that you wanted to add or you have additional comments, questions, or ideas, please put them in the comments box below. I love reading through every comment that I get and I respond to them each individually. So if you're able, please drop a comment down below and I will get back to you as quickly as I am able. And again, as usual, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life-work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. Finally, because I didn't want to take up valuable time at the beginning, I want to plug my Twitch stream. Every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, I begin an hour-and-a-half stream where I am available to answer any questions that you might have about your career, your job search process, interviews, resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, salary negotiation, dream jobs, etc. So if you are available and you want one-on-one time with me, please join me on my Twitch stream on Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I hope to see you there. Good luck on your interview, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.